Good evening, viewers, and welcome back to Soca TV. Again, we have another exciting discussion here for you tonight. We hope you all stay tuned, and we hope you all are in for a ride. So, I am Mindy Giles.
And I'm Gregor Brady.
Gregor, where's your clothes? Okay, you all make sure and judge Gregor's costume this evening.
You don't like it? It was made by Ian Smith.
And tell us if you're seeing it or not.
From Smithstone Designs. Okay, so let's get on. Now, in 1976, the Mighty Shadow, real name Winston Bailey, sang I Want to Catch Them Judges in Hell and Have Them Jumping. 4 years later, in 1980, King Austin, real name Austin Lewis, sang If This Is Progress, How Long Will It Last? Subsequently, the year after, he also sang Who Are to Guard the Gods? Ladies and gentlemen, taking a page out of these three offerings tonight, we, Soca TV, ask the question, who are to judge the judges for progress to materialize in this nation of jumpers? And tonight, Soca TV present Judging with the Judges. And we have a suitable panel available to inform us of their proceeding. Mindy?
All right. First up, we are going to introduce one of Trinidad and Tobago's finest musicians.
Renowned judge, music festival organizer, and a distinguished musician. Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Joycelyn Seeley. Hi, Auntie Joycelyn.
Good evening,
Hello.
good evening. Oh, we
Nice
do
to meet you.
apologize for the spelling of your name.
Can you
We
hear
do
me?
apologize for been an error.
Yes, we are hearing you, Auntie
Yes,
Joycelyn.
we're hearing you.
It's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me. Yeah. I have judged everything in Trinidad and Tobago. Dance, teen talent, this, what, that, calypso pan, best village, everything.
The ultimate judge you are.
Yes,
You see,
yes.
I grew up in a home. Mr. Andrew Carr was my father. He was the only person I know to get Hummingbird Medal gold for folklore, you know.
Ladies
Oh,
and
okay.
gentlemen, a
So I
famous
had plenty
singer.
folk with Andrew Bedo and everybody. And on the other side with my mother playing Wagner and Chopin, all the classics. So I had everything in culture.
Woo,
And I had
multi-
culture on all sides.
Nice.
lovely, lovely.
Yeah.
Well,
Really
we're
nice.
glad to have you on this panel tonight, Ms. Joycelyn, and I know your input will be very, very favorable with your
I
viewing
hope
audience.
so. I hope it will be of some value, you know. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Up next, we have one of Trinidad's finest dancers, we choreographer, and a well-known judge in the area of dance, none other than Miss Llewellyn Brown.
Yes.
Llewellyn, welcome.
Hi, Sister Llewellyn.
Yeah.
Hi.
Right.
Nice to meet you guys.
Would you like to tell us a little about yourself so the audience will get a little more intimate with you, Miss Llewellyn Brown?
Well, I'm what I can tell you is pertaining to I've been judging now on around maybe about the last 20 years or so.
Yes,
Yes, in all aspects of the West Village area, whether it be dance, drama, um, even song. I'm most affiliated with group actually relatively attached to Barataria folk performers, of which I came out of, folk-wise, contemporary, and whatever else would have been between, or which I have performed and worked with Asta Johnson's group, Julia Edwards, National Dance Theatre Company, quite a few, almost everyone in particular. So I have the experience.
Yeah.
So
Sure you do. Sure you do. You share the stage with me in Barataria and Andrew 18.
very much so, very, very much so. It is
So
a pleasure to be here this evening. I'm so happy to have this program. It is long overdue. The panel is a wonderful panel, and it's lovely to be here. I thank you very much for inviting me.
You're welcome. I think you're worthy to give your opinions on your judging experiences.
I feel
Well,
very honored. Thank you.
thank you for coming. Ladies and gentlemen, cultural activist, theater practitioner, and a notable judge, Mon Diablo's finest, Mr. Mervyn Allen.
Where is he?
Oh, we have a little
Wow.
problem. Yes, they're having some little problems there in Mon Diablo, I guess, in that part of South with the electricity. So Mr. Mervyn is having a little slight problem, but he'll be back later on, okay?
Yes.
So let's continue.
We will move on then to our final panelists, and of course we'll have one later on in the show.
Two
But
others.
for now, we want to introduce a distinguished Trinidadian dancer, choreographer, teacher. I understand he was even a singer at one time. He is multi-talented and a long-standing judge in many of our folk cultural competitions. And this is none other than Mr. Eric Butler.
Hi, Mr. Butler. How are you doing? Happy Father's Day.
Welcome.
Yes,
All
yes,
the children you have fathered all through
Yes,
those years
yes.
in San Vessel and Spain. How are you?
I'm not hearing Eric.
We're not hearing you, Mr. Butler.
I'm not hearing Mr. Butler yet. Can't hear him.
All right, Mr. Butler, are you hearing us? Mr. Butler, we are not hearing you.
Turn on your mic. Unmute your mic.
So you could turn up your volume a little.
These fathers, I tell you.
No, we're not hearing you still. Okay, so what you should do is log out and log back in, and we'll see if you can hear you a little clearer.
Well, I guess the ladies have rested since Mother's Day. The fathers are having a busy day today, so all kind of things happening. So, so we'll continue.
Yes. So, ladies, let me start with you, Mr.
Yes.
Butler. Okay, so he's going to try and come back in. But in the meantime, we would ask the ladies this question. Now, we would all think that judging is an objective activity because objectivity is based on facts, it's based on measurable items, it's based on something that you could see and observe. And we know that is what judging is supposed to be all about. But we know we are also human, and sometimes subjectivity comes in there. So subjectivity now is based on your own opinions, your own interpretations, your own point of view. Sometimes your emotions might get in there. What I want to know from you judges is that I want to find out from your experience, do you think you have been objective or subjective in your judging?
Miss Carr?
Well, who are going to answer? Who going to start off with that question? That's a very interesting question.
Oh, we have.
Are you hearing me now?
Yes, yes, you hear me now, Eric?
Just
Are you hearing me now?
Yes, we
Hi,
are.
Eric.
loud and clear.
We are
Hi,
hearing.
hi, everybody.
Hi.
I'm Mr. Butler.
When I am judging,
Mm-hmm.
there is no room for subjectivity at all. I have to be very, very objective. People say to me, "You must enjoy panorama." I do not enjoy panorama because what I'm doing is assessing each performance as it comes down. So I have to be thinking, and assessing. This one is better. This one is this one needs this one. I have to keep thinking all the time like that. So I am actually working and making notes all the time. So I don't have to say, but I like this. I can't say I like something. I have to say why it is good, not that I like it. So I
Right.
am very, very objective when I'm judging. It has nothing to do with my personal. If I wanted, I could have gone somewhere and been some soca fete and sit down. That's what I will enjoy. I'm not really enjoying it because judging objectively is very intense work, and you have to stay focused over a long period of hours, long hours. Yeah.
Very nice. Well explained.
Well, from a dance perspective, Llewellyn,
Okay.
is it
Yeah,
difficult? Mhm.
judging is very hard work, you know. I
Yes.
don't know why people seem to think that all these judges are just there and looking pretty and you know and just around. No, judging is very hard work. Most times by the time I am speaking on my behalf, most of the times when I finish judging, my head hurting me, my body hurting me, everything hurting me because you don't want to miss anything. So the next stiff because you don't want to miss because that will probably cost somebody a point or half a point or something like that. So it's very difficult. And it is, yes, objectively, you have to do it like that. Sometimes you even have friends on the stage or people that you are acquainted with, and you just have to wipe your mind away from that and look at the person as just a contestant or somebody that you don't know in front of you. That is me because I want to be so objective, and I also want to make sure that I am fair in judging. So most of the time, it is very hard work, very
Okay.
hard work.
Mr. Butler, you'll have to give us your introduction all over again, as Lucette pointed out, because we saw you talking, but we weren't hearing you. So can you just
Okay.
give us a little about yourself, and then you could probably answer the question as well.
Okay, I'll be glad to. Well, as you said, as everybody knows, my name is Eric Butler. I have been involved in arts and culture from a child, I think, ever since I was in primary school, because that is the time that I started. I was introduced to singing and dancing, and I'm glad I mentioned that because a lot of people don't realize that before I was a dancer, I was a singer.
Right. Yes.
I was, a exceptionally good child singer. But of course, I move on to dance. Throughout my career or my involvement in arts and culture, I have been involved in judging every aspect of performance, whatever, except of course the steel the panorama. But I have been judging musical items, particularly on the show of 12 and Under with Hazel Ward, and Scouting for Talent, which was two of our major popular talent shows. I have judged other performances, Best Village program, Beauty Queen show, beauty shows, arts festival, whatever. I mean, people ask me to judge, I judge, and I think they ask me because of my experience and involvement in the arts. It is something I enjoyed immensely. I'm still enjoying it, I should say, because I feel that in some way I have a contribution to make. Because the role of one of the role of judges is to identify good work or identify whatever work that you see and how you can improve them, how you can improve their performances, where you can guide them along to improve themselves and that kind of thing. At the same time, present to the national community outstanding and well prepared performances. So it has been very, I mean, an exciting career. And at this time of my life, when of course, you know, I'm in the mode of retirement, I think that I now have more time in which to contribute in the area of judging.
Okay.
Now to answer the question, I think because I think one of the most important role of a judge is to understand exactly what he or she has to do. That's very, very important because there is this, you know, there is this clear misunderstanding of the role of a judge. The judge, when someone is asked to judge something, that person is asked to give his or her opinion and expertise in the particular area in which that person is judging. So the whole idea of being unfair, as I heard Noeline said just now, she always wants to be fair, but I never approach judging when we also want to be fair or unfair. I approach judging to identify what I see, whether it's good, whether it's well done, whether it deserves the kind of accolade that it has, and that kind of thing. And that is very important. Uh, um, uh, we also have to take into consideration that judging is not an individual or individualistic thing. When you have a panel of judges, you are not asking anybody for their own individual opinion. You are asking for the combined opinion of all the people who sit on that panel put together. Now we have to accept that each person is different. It doesn't matter what your expertise is or what or how well you can do something, but each one of us is different. And we are going to have individual opinions about what we see, taken into consideration in the arena in which we find ourselves. But the ultimate result sometimes never turns out to be what you want or what you saw or what you like, but the overall opinion of all the people put, or let's say the average of all the people put together.
Average, yes.
And that, of course, presents the eventual result.
Okay.
So well answered. But you didn't say if you were subjective or objective as a judge.
Well, you see, I don't think that objectivity or subjectivity comes in the role of judging. And that's why I didn't really touch on it at all, because I believe that from the time you want to get into the area of subjectivity or objectivity, you are putting yourself in a situation where, of course, you can in some way be biased. That's how I see it. And I don't think that being biased plays any role in a judge's opinion.
Okay.
Totally
That's how I see it.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Butler. And by the way, you don't look a day older for you to retire.
Well,
it depends. It depends on when you are judging that day from.
It's happy Father's Day to the guy. Come on, man. Okay, so we are bringing on Mon Diablo's finest father.
Sorry?
Theater practitioner and notable judge, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Mervyn Allen. Hi, Uncle Mervyn.
Good evening. Good evening. Mr. Allen, are you hearing us?
Miss Allen, are you there?
I can see him.
Okay, so we're not sure what is going on.
Unmute your mic, Miss Allen.
Okay, so we're still not hearing.
And you're kind of
Hello.
down. Come back. Hi, how are you doing?
Good evening, everyone.
Right.
Hi, Mr. Allen. How are you doing?
Hi, Mervyn.
So, Mr. Allen,
I'm hearing
we are here at Soka TV, and you have a viewing audience.
clearly.
All right. So we seem to
Sorry
still be.
about the problems we had before. Are you hearing me?
Yes,
Yes,
we're hearing
we are.
you now.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, we
Yes.
are. Can you explain to the
Okay.
viewing audience a little about yourself, please? Mr. Allen, are you hearing me? Right. But what going on with these men on Father's Day? Mr. Butler, you always cooking? What going on?
Sorry.
You all were cooking today? What going on? The men just have problems on Father's Day.
Well, I cook every day, so.
We'll judge your food, don't worry.
Yes.
Mr. Allen, are you hearing us now?
Trying just to change. Hello?
Yes, we're hearing you.
Yes, I'm hearing.
Okay.
Trying to
Okay.
change position a bit.
No problem. So good. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes. All right. I am the.
He's gone again.
Yes. Yes, I'm hearing you all. Yeah.
Okay, can you tell the
Are you
viewing?
hearing me?
Just tell the viewing audience a
Okay,
little bit
fine.
about
Yes.
yourself.
Okay. I have been.
All right, we still seem to be getting some sort of issue there.
Sound.
Okay, so Mr. Allen, we're going to just take you off the screen a little bit until we get those things sorted out.
We'll
and come
rectify
back.
that problem soon.
Yes.
Okay, so we heard from the three distinguished panelists here today about their objectivity and subjectivity. And the most important thing that Mr. Butler said is that he don't want to put himself in a position where somebody say, is he objective,
Or
he is okay,
subjective.
and if he's
Could be
subjective,
biased.
he's biased. Yeah, so I guess that's the question that one should feel. But we're sticking on that. I have seen, come on, you must have favorites. Come on. Miss Silly,
When I go to judge, I have no favorites whatsoever.
Dionne Warwick comes on to sing a song in front of everybody in Trinidad. You wouldn't put Dionne Warwick in place? No, well,
when I go to judge, I am supposed to wipe my head completely clean, and I have to judge what I see before me with no attachment to anybody at all. None. It doesn't matter who come. It doesn't matter who come on stage. I may see somebody and I know this person has a beautiful voice. I have to wait for them to sing, and I will judge their singing, but
singing,
not them.
exactly.
Not them. I have to judge the performance, and so I always judge the performance. And to me, the hardest thing about judging is that you have to put people in the order of merit. So you have to be listening all the time and say, okay, this one was better than this one. This one is not as good. This one is not. Because your job is to put all these 10 people, whoever it is come in front of you, in an order of merit, in a fair way. So you come up with somebody who's first and who's second and stuff like that. And you must be fair. And you must be able to tell them why you're putting them there and give them adjudication to tell them, well, look, this needs to be better and that needs to be better, and this was weak and this was not weak, which is what I do in Panorama. You have to give comments all the time that agree with the kind of mark you have given.
Exactly.
So you have to be talking to the performer. So while the performer is performing, we are not communicating with them, but afterwards I am talking to them through their score sheet. You have to tell them.
Yes.
You have to tell them everything, and you have to justify why you have done this. You know.
Yes.
You don't have time to be subjective at all. It's always a very objective exercise all the time.
Well, that brings us to our second question, though. What makes you competent as a folk tradition judge? In other words, why you? Why it should be you to take on such a task?
I never say it should be me, but the point is, I have a tremendous amount of experience. I do dance with Beryl McBurney. I danced with Beryl McBurney for 2 years. But I choose between dance and music, and I went to music and I left dance.
But then Butler. You're better than Butler. Butler never danced with Beryl. Go ahead.
I dance with Beryl. I dance with Beryl. I was one of, of Beryl's, top Southern dancers. So don't get your history right. Get your
That's
history
true.
right, Mr.
Because
Brady.
Beryl taught the initial
happened?
wax dance company, which she was a part
Huh?
of. Beryl
So,
taught the
Sorry?
initial wax dance company. She was the teacher there at our wax.
no,
Yes, but I also danced with her. I also danced with her as a member of the Carib. In Port of Spain.
Little Carib Theatre, that's right.
I would go to rehearsals at Barry's house. You know what Barry's house was, the folk
Yes.
house, and
Yeah.
perform on the streets. And on the cross streets in Port of Spain, and in the little Caribbean, when it wasn't what it is now. So I was. Just as Jocelyn was a dancer of barrel.
Yeah.
The important thing, Mr. Brady, I think that a lot of people, dancers from our age, pass through the clutches and the attention of Beryl McBurney.
I was trying to
Very
You,
well
answer.
if you do your research, you will realize that.
Yeah.
Mr.
So
Briggs,
it's not that Beryl was the foundation of dance. We were all aspiring dancers, and if you are aspiring dancers, you have to attach yourself to the foundation, which we all do.
I was answering your
All right,
question.
coming back to the question now that Justin was trying to answer.
Mr. Silly is finished yet.
Having
Sorry?
gone,
Miss Tilly isn't finished yet.
yeah, having
Huh?
gone to,
Go ahead, Miss
I
Celine,
didn't
go
get
ahead.
you.
Miss Silly isn't finished yet.
no, I
Okay, right, good.
Okay.
I sang with Olive Walk. I do all kind of folk things in my young days, right? So and I used to sing one of her soloists and all this kind of stuff. Come through music festival, I take singing exams and things. I come first, and I come first in an operatic class, and I won a scholarship to go. Yeah, won a scholarship to go at age 35 to go to McGill. I thought I was going to fail, and every year I was on the dean's honors list, and I graduated with high distinction. So I took a diploma in education and came back home. So I was into music. I was training voices, training choirs. I knew about dance. I appreciated folk dance and everything. I knew about drumology. And Andrew Bedder used to come to my home in French Street to my father, Andrew Carr. So I know a lot. So as soon as Pantrin Bego heard my marks, they wanted me to judge Panorama right away. So that is why I was asked to judge, because they felt I was knowledgeable and I would be able to analyze their music and run down and understand what each arranger was trying to do. Because when you start to listen to a panorama tune, you have to be able to observe the whole structure of the arrangement and appreciate everything, every single step of the way that the composer, the arranger is doing. So you have to be able to recognize what he's doing. And my theory and analysis programs at McGill helped me that way.
Nice.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
McGill University is in Canada, isn't it?
Yes, it's in Montreal, Canada.
Montreal, Canada, sure.
Okay. But I see we have Mr. Allen back again. Let's try and see if we can get through this time.
Happy Father's Day, Mr. Allen, again for the fourth time.
My screen has changed. I'm not seeing you guys. What's happening?
We are seeing you very clearly.
Okay, but I'm not seeing the rest. I've seen everybody, but now I'm only seeing me.
Okay, you probably need to click on yourself and let's see what happens.
I'm on my computer. Yes.
Okay, Mr. Allen,
Are you
can you give us
are you
a
hearing
little bit about
are you hearing
yourself?
clearly now?
Yes, we are hearing you clearly. And the current is back.
Very well.
Seeing you too.
But I have been hearing clearly all the time. Yes, I was just saying that we had a little power outage just at the beginning of the show, and I don't know if that would have started everything. Anyway, I'm happy to be here and to see my comrades, some of them, not in the flesh, but on the TV. Hello. Right, happy to be invited to the program and to make whatever contributions I could make. I have been involved in Brazil since secondary school. And with the Sapphire West Village group, then moving on to Mondiablo, then doing some tours like the Bicentennial in America, the Festac in Africa, Nigeria, and so on. So I came through Mr. Worrell. I think that most of you remember that name, Andrew Worrell, who was the director producer of the Sapphire and Mondiablo group and stuff. And basically, that's it. Coming back to Africa in 77, Festac 77, did performances for about 3 years, and from since about 81, I've been involved in the judging aspect of it, right? More so the folk area, music, and the production area and stuff. So basically, that's me. Um, so now we can move on from there. I think that I've given enough um, in
Yeah, but
terms of
Mr. Allen, what makes you
yeah.
competent as a folk tradition judge, though? In other words, why it should be you to take on such a task? What makes you competent?
Why why I should take on?
Such a task.
Oh, well, as everybody
Oh
is
my
saying, it is really a task, eh? Because remember
Absolutely.
that you have the groups at your disposal to perform for you to make a judgment. And that judgment must be made on the performance at that particular time. For instance, you could hear the best calypso, and the calypsonian on the night of performance could give a bad performance and
Right.
will not win the competition. So that is why the performance on the night in question or the time in question that you have to put on a performance is what will make you determine whether it is good or bad. And because there's a comparison to be made, because it's a competition where you must compare this one against the other one. And as a result of that, um, you would have to make certain judgments in terms of, would you consider this better, this a little worse, or why would you take up a mark here or give a mark here, and so on. And thus, at the present time, there is the rubric which affords you that liberty to assist you in terms of making that judgment. So in terms of me being a judge, I go along at this present time. Before we didn't have the rubric, but we used the criteria, whatever, and made our own judgment. But now there is that rubric that we try to follow and to make our judgments in terms of giving the mark.
All right.
Okay.
Mr. Butler, you wanted to add to that question. You wanted to say something before about being
And
competent enough.
what question? Could you repeat the question? You asked if I want to answer that question, but there are so many questions that you ask. I'm not quite sure which one you want.
Okay.
Okay, what makes you competent as a folk traditional judge?
Oh, that the competency. Now
Yes.
I have a little problem with that word because when I say that word, I mean it is something that kind of peeves me off when one asks about the competence of a judge. Now the whole idea. Let us start off by understanding that the whole idea of when someone is asked to judge a performance, it is evident that the person was asked because they are competent, because it is thought that they are competent to do it. It is not the role of the person to feel that he or she is competent enough to do it. Because if you are a promoter of a competition and you were looking for judges, you are not going to go down by the fourth authority with somebody who was packing crates and tell them, hey, I want you to be a judge in a competition that I am having, or let's say a dancing or a singing or whatever kind of competition. Somebody is asked to judge something because whoever is asking or seeking their expertise believe that that person can do it, is competent enough to do it. That is one thing. That is from that angle. Now the competence of the individual. The individual, of course, has to have the kind of should I say, confidence in himself or herself that what he is asked to do, that he can do it. If it is that he feels that he's not competent enough to do it, it is the responsibility of that individual to say, well, hey, I don't know anything about what you're asking me to do. So I don't think I would be able, to do a very good job of it. So, it is not starting off by thinking that the individual thinks that he or she is competent. It is a whole, it is much more than that. Okay, so I never believe or accept or go about my judging experiences thinking that I am competent enough. The whole idea that I'm judging is because I am competent enough.
Understood.
Because I'm asked to do that.
All right.
No, but
Sorry?
Mr. Butler, I know you're talking
Yes.
about competence here, but let's take, for example, you're a singer. I don't think I don't want to put it in a high form where you are better or you're a greater musician than Mrs. Seeley. But if Mrs. Seeley have to judge singing, and there were 3 great people up there, I think Mrs. Seeley will be able to tell, well, she didn't use the high registers properly and the low registers and do these little intricate things that a judge may not know, that you may not know. I'm not saying you don't know, you may not know. So there is where your incompetence comes in. When the things start
Yes,
getting
but
technical.
But you see, but again, okay, I heard you, Brady. But again, you have to understand, I come back to the point that I'm making. When you have a panel of judges judging something, you don't have one individual judging a competition or judging anything. And that is where the differences of the competencies will come in. It is always a panel of people, a number of people. It's just 3 people, 4 people, 5 people. But each person on that panel will have a different skill or a different responsibility or a different way of observing something that the other persons or the other people on the panel do not have. So while as you referred to Miss Seeley, while Miss Seeley might be able to because of her experience and her knowledge and her skills and so on, to identify the ups and the downs or the high and the lows or the tune or untune, whatever, of the piece of music. The other person or the other people on the panel are seeing other things and looking for other things within that performance, and that is what I have a problem with. That when you see a panel of judges, it does not mean that each one of those persons have to have some kind of high degree or some kind of total kind of experience in what they are judging, because what you are looking for in a panel is every aspect of the performance, and each person on that panel will be able to bring out something that the other person is not bringing out, or be able to observe something that the other person is not seeing. So it is judging is a very kind of
you still need
complicated
to be
thing. And as a matter of fact, let me say,
I would think, Eric, we're forgetting that we have criteria. When you sit down to judge,
of course we have criteria. Yes, no, I'm not forgetting that.
I'm not forgetting that. You are given a certain criteria to look for.
Yes, we all have criteria to look for. We all have the criteria to look for, because
regardless of the experience on the panel, everybody have to look for those same things. Those same things. I'm not going to be looking for something different from what you're looking for. We are looking for presentation, for pitch, for accuracy, for diction.
I guess what he's saying is that everyone would not see the same thing. So yes, we have criteria,
but we are looking at the same category. We're looking at, you may assess, but we are looking at the same category.
You see, if but anyways, while we are talking competence here, we can bring in our next panelist, and who is very competent in former Miss Lauren Rivet, beauty queen consultant, and an excellent vocalist. South's finest in women's degree and pedigree, ladies and gentlemen, none other than Miss Camille Greenwich Charles. Hi, Camille, how are you?
Welcome, welcome. Are you hearing us?
Hi, evening. I am fine. How is
You have to be
everyone?
fine. You look fine. Still
Thank
look like
you.
a winner
Thanks
from
for
Miss
having
Olympic
me.
1991.
Yes, I am. Are you hearing me?
Yes, we are.
It's a little delayed,
Thank
but we
you.
are hearing you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gregor. Thank you. So you're hearing me well?
Yes,
Yes.
we are.
Can you
Okay.
tell us a little bit about yourself?
All right. Well, we hope that will be sorted out eventually. Hi, Jocelyn. Hi, Noellen.
Hi.
Eric,
sweetie.
Mervyn. Hi, everybody.
Welcome. Welcome.
Nice to see you all. Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself so that the viewing audience will get an idea of who you are and your experience?
Sure. Well, like Gregor said, my one of my passions would be the beauty and fashion industry. I'm a certified cosmetologist, hairstylist, makeup artist. I've been doing that for the past maybe 29, 30 years. I started at a very young age. So immediately after school, I knew that I wanted to get into the beauty and fashion industry, performing arts and so on. So that's what I did. So I pursued it. Of course, at that time, my parents didn't think that it would have been a very lucrative career or a path that I should have taken. They probably thought I should have gotten a government job around that time, so that I could have secured a pension plan. And I guess the universe had different for me. So I consider myself to be a creative. I love the performing arts. Like Gregor said, I have some, well, I mean, I think he gave me a little bit too much credit there when he said, I am, yes, I have been a vocalist with some of the soca bands in Trinidad for a while. Sound Revolution, Active International, Marshall and Ecstatic. So I have represented our country. Yes. So I have represented our country. I worked at KMP Music Studio, KMP Music Lab, for quite a number of years as a background vocalist, doing vocals on hundreds of calypso and soca crossover reggae music for Caribbean artists, international artists, and so on. And like Gregor said, yes, a former Miss Laramie, Sunfest, Miss Taparia, Miss Ministry of Works and Transport. I coordinator of Miss Butler's beauty pageant, Taparia Pet beauty pageant. So I mean, and that's about it. I'm still pursuing. I still, like I said, I still love the art. I've been an adjudicator for Best Village for quite some time. As a matter of fact, I've been under the wings of Mervyn and Mr. Butler and they for years, as a performer on that platform on the stage. And then, gradually with my experience and so on, being asked to be an adjudicator. I offered myself actually, and
Okay.
following whatever criteria you were asked to produce and so on. And yeah, and so here I am. I've been doing that for quite a number of years as well. I started doing music. So I've judged music for some time, and then I would have gone over to theatre and, well, Lauren Rivet, of course. I've been doing Lauren Rivet for quite some time as well,
Okay.
from
Lovely to
preliminary
have
to
you
final
here.
stages.
We're very glad to have you here. Welcome. And we are on to the topic of competency. And I want to pose this question to Llewellyn. I want to just ask, well, it's for the entire panel, but I want to get this answer from Llewellyn to start. So we're talking about competence in terms of judging a criteria. How comfortable are you given marks in an area where you lack knowledge and certain expertise. So, say that you are judging a dance performance, and well, I don't know if you have done Indian dance in the past, but let's just put this as a scenario. You are
Yes, I
judging
have.
an Indian dance performance, classical Indian dance, and you don't know much about the step and what this means and what the hand means and all these different things. How comfortable would you be in giving marks for those kind of performances? Now, I have general things out of the rubric that you will be able to mark, right? But in terms of authenticity of steps, and you're not very familiar or you don't have the expertise, how comfortable would you be in giving marks for an area like that?
Okay, well, with the experience I've had, I worked under Rajesh Sinath. So I am capable of knowing a lot of the steps. I might not be able to um, have the experience in doing the steps as per se, but most of the times when you look, you would know exactly well if this is what it's really supposed to be and so on. Why I am saying this is because through the years, and I've been judging for quite a long time, and I've also been in the arena since I'm 17 years old. So a lot of the times, although the steps or the type of dance would not be up my alley, I will still be able to judge it because of the experiences I have had with judging the other dances that I've grown up seeing and being a part of and having worked with the best people. And so it is not very difficult for me. As I told you before, I trust myself when I'm judging because of the amount of experience that I've gathered through the years. I trust
Okay.
myself. So when I go home after a judging session and feel very good about myself, and I go to bed feeling very well. So coming back to what you are telling me, I do the best that I could with what I have had, and I judge what I see. And according to Mr. Butler and also Jocelyn, and Mervyn, you judge what is in front of you. You
Yeah,
trust yourself. You
but
trust
Llewellyn, I still feel confidence doesn't really cut it. I really don't believe because I've known people who have sat on panels. Yes, I can do this, and they have never done an Igbo in their life, but they're judging an African Igbo dance competition, and they don't even know what the colors of Igbo are. They don't even know what the Igbo dance represents and everything. So confidence doesn't really cut it because remember, if I am
After default lies with the people who select the panel. When you select a
exactly.
panel of judges, you must select people who are knowledgeable.
No, but even if you're selecting
Yes.
people who are knowledgeable, some people just love the fame that goes in it. And some judges say, okay, because they think they're confident and they can do it because they think they have the
No,
competence.
Gregory, I don't see it like that, and I
I've
would
never
not
seen
say it
on
like
panels
that.
You're
like
not
that.
letting
Panels
us
are
know.
held
Let
carefully
me
chosen
speak.
panels. Carefully
Let me
chosen
speak.
panels.
According to what Mr. Butler was saying, when I am looking for a judge, whatever competition I am
Yeah.
having, I
You
am
look,
not going to pick somebody who doesn't really
no,
know
somebody
anything
who
about
knows. Yeah, yeah.
you must have some sort of experience, and you cannot tell me, you cannot watch me and tell me that every judge would know every rhythm and every movement. You would not. You go with most of the time, you trust yourself. You cannot
Well,
tell me, no matter what university you have been to, how much experience you've had, you never stop learning. You never stop learning.
no, but we are
Agree.
talking folk traditions here.
Okay,
And
it's my love.
no, wait, just on Noellen, this is not personal. We are talking folk traditions here.
Yeah.
And if we are talking folk traditions, if somebody called me to judge an East Indian classical Kathak dance competition, and I don't know the knowledge, even if I learn Kuchipudi or I learn Manipuri, I will not say yes because I don't know Kathak, and
Yes.
Kathak have its various nuances that I don't know. So me by saying yes, because I did some style of Indian dance, but not Kathak, but I feel I know Kathak. When you get in there, you give the person bad points. Somebody who knows Kathak come to you and say, how come that person you can't answer? Because what will you say then? So that
Well,
okay.
basically
you are
On
talking,
this, Gregory,
you are talking to judges here who judge for
Right
best
on.
fit and panorama and so on. We are very steady. We don't work on panels that do that. When you see we sit down with a panel in Best Village or Panorama or something, everybody there know their business. I don't
Yeah,
I don't
Gregory,
I don't have that
we are
kind of
coming back
panel.
again.
I
We
don't
are
have
coming back
now,
again.
sometimes they ask me to do dance, and I don't have that much knowledge of dance. Sometimes they run out, they have to have 5 and they had 4 and they put me. Now I know some dance and I know I'm not as competent, but I can see whether people are correct, whether they miss a step, whether everybody's the same, whether they kept the rhythm. I can certain things I know. So I can do a fairly decent job with dance, but I'm not an expert. I wouldn't say I'm an expert. But if you ask me to, I can tell you that this was beautiful. It was well done because they have a lot of rhythm and the movement and they're graceful and everything. I would look for basic things like that in a dancer.
but don't you think that we as the keepers of the traditional art form,
Yeah.
Mr. Butler, well, this will go to you. We as the keepers of the traditional art form, don't you think that we need people who are competent there and not somebody who confident? I mean, because they must know what if I am putting on.
So, Gregory, before you go there, you are misinterpreting what I am
Well,
saying. This
No,
doesn't come with just confidence. This
no,
comes with a lot of experience as well. And if
comes with
they ask
experience.
me, according to Masili, to sit in for an East Indian judge, it would not be a problem. I might not be as knowledgeable. Hence the reason why we have Indian classical dancers, judges. We have folk judges with calypso, soca. Then we would have the African and whatever the case might be. When you go into a seminar, especially like for instance in a program like Best Village, whoever is assigning you would have to know that you have the experience in this particular segment of of what you are judging. So you are telling me now that okay, a Best Village judge cannot judge kata or classical Indian or whatever dance or whatever the case might be. There are judges for that, but with the experience
Gregor,
hello.
Yes, we're hearing
we're
you.
here.
But
you
with the
hearing me? If I may,
experience you would have, just like what Miss Silly is saying, you might not know all the criteria of the movements and whatever the case might be, but you will have to have a fair idea as to what you're judging. You have to. That's why in the program, because I guess this is the forum that we have here right now.
Sometimes you're called upon the judge because you have you're
Final.
fair. They know you're fair in your judgment. So even though you're not an expert, I was not an expert, but I will not have the last person first and all. I'll be pretty much in the same area of assessment as everybody else because you
I
look at
just
somebody who is fair and objective and have a decent amount of knowledge on what they're doing. But I was not call myself an expert for dance. I like dramology very much, and I try to know the different rhythms and so on. And I can tell when it's cleanly done and when they make changes and everything. And of course, music and choral singing, I can tell the chords and the balance of the music. And if you have enough basses and tenors and so on, I can do all of that. And the solo singers, I can do those things. I feel I know those very well. But I have been asked to judge other things that I didn't know so well. I was asked to fill in a panel, and I would do it. I would do it.
So Gregory is saying, what Gregory is probably saying is that...
Llewellyn, let's hear what Camille has to say because she hasn't been... Camille?
yes, if I may, one of the things I've noticed, if you are asked to be a part of a judging panel, I think that the onus would be on the organizers of that competition or
Exactly.
whoever to make sure that the people that they are putting in that position as an adjudicator, that you would understand where they come from. You would have a fair understanding of what their capabilities, what their expertise, and so on would be. So most times if a judge is asked to fill in, like Llewellyn was just, um, indicating, you may not be the expert in that particular category or that particular area. However, you have a criteria, and maybe just one category that you may have to actually mark or adjudicate would be, let's say, authenticity or originality. So that area you would be required to have a particular amount of knowledge. But then the other parts of the, of your judging criteria would
Criteria.
be performance. It would be literally based on your experience as an adjudicator and not necessarily your expertise. That's just one area. Let's say you're judging out of 100. Authenticity and originality might just be 20 points, but then you still have 80 points to cover. So then it means that you would hope and think that being asked to be an adjudicator, they would know, okay, she has some experience with regards to stage performance, with regards to, she understands if it's a dramatic piece, there must be some flow, there must be some form of expression, there must be some form of articulation if I have to speak clearly, there must be some form of use of the stage and so on. So
Exactly.
while we
I
may
think
we
I
may,
think the
we
only
may harbor
criterion
on,
there, I think the only
yes,
criterion
we
there that would
harbor
give
on,
problems is the originality aspect of
that's right.
The
that's
authenticity,
it.
not originality, the
Yeah.
authenticity. Well, let me
And
ask.
then another thing, if I may
Mhm.
too, sorry,
Go ahead,
what I
go
was
ahead.
about to say, another thing, as an adjudicator as well, you need to be honest enough. If you are asked to judge a particular category and you know that's not your so-called area of expertise, if your confidence level is not there, then you should be honest enough and big enough to say, listen, I've never judged this category before. If you really still want me to, if this is what, I'm willing to. However, this is not my area of expertise. If it's going to become a problem or whatever, then, like Gregor said, I would, humbly decline and say, well, I don't think, let me put you on to somebody who I know this is definitely their area.
Camille, let
So
me
that,
ask a
that that's just
question
my take on
to
it.
Mr. Mervyn. Let me ask Mr. Mervyn Allen a question. Now, you all
Yes.
have, now we have individual competitions, song, dance, drama, but there's a situation when we have a Best Village production, which has
Yes.
all these categories in one, well, I'm mixing in one item, in one performance. And then you
Yes.
find different judges to adjudicate these different, adjudicate the entire show. So each judge,
Yes.
I usually get a dance judge, a drama judge, a music judge, and they put them on the panel to judge everything to the show. What I want to ask, do you think that the dance judge on that panel should be responsible for judging just the dance, or should the drama person just the drama, the music person just the drama, or should we continue just as we are, everybody judging everything?
I think we should continue at this point. Everybody judging everything, because if you look at it, it is a complete. It is complete in itself. All the components to make up this 90-minute show make up the 90-minute show. So that the dance would not go without the drama. The dance is supposed to fit into the drama. It's supposed to be a well gelled piece of artistic form within the drama to make the whole thing look as one whole. All right. Okay. So let's just for instance, let's say you want to do you develop you want to clean a place. You develop, I just saying, for a broom dance, right? So the broom dance comes into the play and it is well meshed into the play so that there's continuity, right? So you create these avenues. So I believe the person who's doing the dance, of course, will be more okara with whatever. But you who are even doing the drama, you will be able to see what is happening because of experience. So remember, experience has a lot to
Experience.
do with this, and a lot of us have a lot of experiences,
See, a lot of the
right?
judges
And
for
you will see how this
a lot of the judges for these folk shows,
study.
we have a lot of theater experience. We are theater people.
All right,
We
so
do various kinds of productions.
you
So
can
we
find
could
that.
see the theater and we could see the production
The
and
point is that the rubric, and remember, these are
stage and everything, you know? Yeah.
Although I totally agree that a lot of the judges at theater experience in theater,
Yeah.
I still feel folk theater is a very unique theater.
It
Folk
is.
dance is unique. There are things you cannot just take somebody from the mainstream theater who are very good actor on the mainstream and bring him to judge Best Village Folk Theater. Because in as much as they may know use of space and all these different things, folk theater is a different genre all by itself. And that experience that we're talking about is the experience based on the folk traditions. And most of the people, most judges are not competent in the folk traditions. They are competent in dance, in theater, in drama, in music. But folk music, dance, and drama are they're
No, but
different.
why? I don't know why you would be saying something like that because all
I
the
don't know either.
all these people here, all this panel here that I'm seeing,
Yeah.
all of us have
Yeah.
folk somewhere.
All of you all are folk,
And there are folk.
exactly.
So we love the folk and we want to make the folk better and it's in our heart. So why would you say because we have theater, formal theater, you can't do folk theater? Of course you can do folk theater.
No, I didn't say you can't. You didn't hear the question. What I said is that you cannot take a mainstream theater person.
But they have never done that. That is not, they don't do that. They don't do that. It's no, they don't take mainstream theater people.
We tend to differ. I have seen modern dancers judging folk dance and ballet dancers judging folk dance, and I quench. I am a performer. I am a competitor. I know. The only thing I don't say is I am not going on the stage because that person is not competent enough to judge my work. And Mr. Butler, I want to answer that because I don't know if it's coming across correctly. But if you're not competent,
I don't think it's coming across well.
I am sitting here. Am I on now?
Yes.
I'm sitting here and I'm listening attentively to what is transpiring. And I must say that I am not particularly pleased with what I am hearing. Because you see, and the reason I'm saying that is because I have this particular opinion about judging and the ultimate results of judging. I understand, and I have a clear understanding, that you are never going to get a 100% consensus, let's say that, of any judging or judging opinion.
Exactly.
And I think that is what causes the problem. Because very often, there are people who enter competition and they have their particular opinion about whatever their performance is. And if they get a result that goes against what he or she thinks, it immediately is transferred onto the incompetence or the lack or the ignorance of the judging or judging panel.
Absolutely.
That I always have a problem with. Now, I have been involved in the arts for over 50-something years, or more than that. You must, or anybody must understand that someone who is involved in the arts for that period of time and have been exposed to all aspects of the arts and that person is going to develop into a unique kind of individual mainly because of the experiences he
Yeah.
or she has gone through.
Absolutely.
Experience is the greatest teacher, and
Definitely.
experience in performances teaches an individual a lot of things. And I want to come back to the point where we are talking about a panel of judges, and one member of the panel has expertise in a particular area, and then the other members of the panel do not have that expertise. But I do not see that as a problem of incompetence, because when a panel of judges is judging, they are looking for the consensus of the outstanding performance that they have seen before them. I'm going to give you an experience. I was fortunate enough to serve as a panel of judges on the Auntie Hazel's program 12 and under and Teen Talent. Now, if you know that and you have a clear understanding of that competition, that is really a competition that brings in a variety of genres, whether it be music, dance, acting, or whatever. But when you look at Hazel's panel of judges, it is never a panel of judges of musicians because they want to get the expert of musicians, or a panel of
Mm-hmm.
dancers because they want to get expert of the panel of dancers, a panel of dramatists or actors or actresses because they want to look at the literary side of it. It is a panel of judges who would have had experience and been exposed to all aspects of the arts. Now, one of the things I always find very interesting in myself, when I sit at one of those panels, particularly with Hazel Ward, there are a lot of singers and musicians who come before me. Now, I am not an expert musician, I am not a trained musician, but I can tell you when I hear a bad musical performance. I can tell you because of the experience and the exposure that I've had. I might not be able to say that the person is singing in G when they're supposed to be singing in F or whatever, but I can tell you by listening to it when that person goes off, whether they move from G to H, because of how my whole build up is made because of again I come back to the experiences and the exposure I've had. So therefore, when I use that as an experience, I really have a little peeve when I hear people talking about the competency of an individual to judge in the East Indian dance when they have no East Indian training. I don't think that is necessary or important or correct. Because I am not a trained East Indian dancer, but I can tell you the difference between different East Indian performances when I see it before me, in whatever way I see it before me. I might not have the idea, the experience to say that, the skill to say that the hand movements are correct and the signs or whatever. But that is just one part of the performance. It takes so much more in a performance
That's
than
right.
just the
That's right.
No,
Criteria.
Mr. Butler, I think you're straying from the question and the genre. We are talking folk.
okay. If I'm straight from the point, point out to me where I'm straight.
We are talking folk culture and not a variety show. We are talking the traditional folk. And if you don't,
One
No,
second
no, no,
now.
no. Well, okay, well, you see, but I was talking about I wasn't talking about traditional folk or variety. I was talking about
yes,
judging, and
yes,
I think the whole idea here, why we are here, we are judges, and we are talking about the art of judging. I
yes.
don't think we are talking about the knowledge of folk theater
Nobody
or the
question was
knowledge of
based
folk
on knowledge
dance.
of the traditional
That
folk.
might be the background opinion of the organizers, the promoters, the MCs. Because you see,
Right.
really, I am not stupid, and we are not
That's
stupid.
what
We
I
know
said.
exactly
Right.
We know exactly what is going on, and we know exactly why we are here.
Yep.
And I'm not going to frame it and I sit up and I sit up at
No,
home.
you're
The
here
point
because
about it is that we are talking about judging. That's why we are here. We are not here to talk about the competency or the expertise of any judge in any particular area.
Yes, yes.
Mr. Ackard, I just want to, at this point,
Okay, and I ended there.
I just want to ask our viewing audience, we have the opportunity now to send voice notes. So you can voice note a statement or a question that you want us to pose to the panel. So can you please, all our viewing members, pose your voice notes to this number, 319-8100, 319-8100. Please go ahead and send your voice notes now. They can be general statements or questions that you would like us to pose to the panel.
okay.
Yes, I want to come back. Can I come back to my statement?
Yes,
Yes, and
yes.
I want to also use an example, for instance, of Gregory Brady.
Gregor.
Gregory Brady is a young, talented dancer choreographer who I
Thank you.
admire a lot.
Thank you.
And one of the reasons I say I admire him a lot because I always admire his work. I like his style. I like his choreographic skill. I like his ideas and the approach, how he approaches the different ideas. And I don't hide to say it. I tell him this very often. I say to everybody, I like his work. I like what he does. But that does not mean, because I feel that way, is when I see Brady in a competition, he is going to be the ultimate leader or winner of that competition because of how I feel. Because I have to take everything and everybody else into consideration. Now, you know, something that always interests me in judging, particularly one competition, is panorama. The kind of emotions that come out of panorama is very, very interesting and very dramatic. And I believe that that is one competition when it can be felt or can be said that the eventual results is usually what it should be, because the entire audience is really, they are really judges there, by the way. The audience, when they listen to your competition, the audience is also a judge. And many of them don't have expertise in any of the musical things about the fact, but they are judge. And they can tell you a winner of the competition before the results is even given out. Why is that? And on that panel of judges, they have endless expertise. Who knows B sharp, I sharp, J sharp, whatever sharp, who go do, who go down, who go left, who go right, who go whatever, who didn't crescendo and who didn't do this and all this kind of thing. All those people are on the panel. But very often what you would find is that each individual of that panel most likely will have selected a different winner because of their expertise of what they do. But the eventual winner comes out to be somebody completely different, and the audience says it and they feel it. Why is that? Have we ever really sat down and tried to figure out how it is a panorama audience can identify a winner? Have we ever really looked at that? And that is a question I think we have to ask ourselves, because then we can apply that kind of situation to all other competitions, because it tells you that in a competition, it is not only the expertise you're looking for, it is the impact of the performance, taking everything into consideration. And that is why very often we get a consensus, because on that panel, each person would have a different winner. But when you look at all the points and all the marks, you get a consensus, somebody completely different to what even you as a judge thought it would be. And that is the spirit, and that is the something that we can't understand about judging and competition. And what do we do very often is that we delve into this whole thing and talk about the judge is thief and the judge is unfair and the judge don't know this and don't know that, mainly because that particular individual does not like the result because they have their own individual result. But everybody have their own individual result. And that is why I start off this whole discussion by saying, I don't believe in the subjectivity and objectivity. I believe in the impact. I believe in how that performance touches each and every person. And very often that impact touches each and every person in a different way. Yes, that person might be very skillful. And I will give you another experience that I've had, which of course Brady was part of the competition because he had a dancer in the competition. In the semi-final preliminary of that competition, there was somebody who was an outstanding winner. Outstanding winner because, it was really but at the night of the finals, when we look at all the performance, Brady's dancer ended up the winner. Why? Because that was the person who created the impact on that particular night, taking everything into consideration.
Coming from me, she was the best. She was.
Of course, she was.
Wow.
Of course, she was the best because she won. She was the best because she won. She was the best because she won, and that's what I'm saying. She was the best because she won. But the point about it, she won at that time. She was in the competition at the other stages too, but she didn't win.
That's true.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes,
so the point about it is not really this thing about incompetence or what or people judging or stealing or whatever. It is what the judges feel and see on that particular night or particular performance. That I think is very important. And that is how I always go about judging. Yeah.
Hearing now, Gregory.
Why are you trying to stick to Gregory? Come on. I have been
Wait. What's happening?
I have been in a lot of competitions, and I must say, in my choreographic, throughout my choreographic years, 1995 to present, Mr. Butler has been on every panel. So he's responsible for my either winning or losing.
No. I am not saying.
No, not you. This is not you. I am saying.
I am generally speaking because you brought up the subject of you are saying some of the judges are incompetent, hence the reason why you are this and whatever the case might be. And he is telling you it is not about incompetence, it is about experience. Once you have the experience, you are confident. So once you are confident like that, incompetence doesn't come in there. So I'm telling you that. Because you have.
But moving along from that is up for debate, a lot of debate.
It's not the opinion of some.
I was listening to what Mr. Butler said, and I must say, in all my years, and it's about 50 years, I swear, I've been judging. I have never been on a panel where everybody had a different winner. What happens is I might have somebody second and they would have them first, and I might have third first. So you'll find that we would all have the same people bunching up between 1, 2, 3, and 4. And according to consensus, the winner will emerge. And we don't mind that because the panel is deciding who. So if the panel throws up a winner and it is not my winner, but it was my second place person who win, and my first person comes second, I am happy with that because it's the decision of the panel, the panel decision. We always thought alike. And the people who were really weakest would be further down on our list and so on. So I've never been with any panel, anywhere, all of the islands. I judge all of the islands, Antigua, St. Vincent, Grenada, everywhere. Once I was judging in one place and exactly the order in which I had everything, when all the judges were added up, I had it in exactly the order that the judges had it as a group. And I said, well, okay, Justin, you did well. I had first, second, third, right the way down. So it is even possible to have that. So, but people generally know what they're doing when I'm on my panel. They seem to know what they're doing. We might not agree exactly, and you might have the person third first and all that sort of stuff, but that's about as far away as we would be from making a decision. And then the decision is made by the amalgamation of all the marks, and decision is made. And everybody is happy with that. We are happy with it. because that is the way the panel works. As Eric was saying, your panel throws up the winner, and you have to live with that.
Okay.
If I could just butt in
Sure.
here, the question of experience, I mentioned that before. I think
Yes.
that's a very important part to
Very,
play
very
in
important. Yes.
because remember we have been looking at all these different aspects for years. Justin said that she would have been in this thing for about 50 years, Butler too, about 50 years plus. I about 40 years,
Yes.
and you're looking at these things. You might not be this big expert, but you have enough knowledge to determine.
Yes.
And what
Yes.
Justin said is that many of the time that you have the people bunching up right there.
Yes.
And because you have panel, the winner will be decided. And sometimes it's very close. Because think about it, that sometimes it's by contrary of a map and all that. So I am one who would go for the way it is. I think that the rubric that we use is really a great help to those who might be you might be saying not competent and all that sort of thing. That rubric really helps because I'm looking at it right now in front of me here. In terms of all the different aspects of and it grades it. So you say, well, look, in my mind, I am competent to give this group a 4. But I might say, I this thing do real good, I'll give them a 5, I might give them a 4.5, But it's how you see it. But at the end of it all, in all the categories, when you put the marks together, when we come together, we will see who nice.
Eric, when Eric was in charge of folk theater in the 90s, I was his chief judge. I was the chief judge of the theater panel.
Yes.
And it was something I really loved. It was so exciting to go out to Vance River and all these places and see these beautiful folk plays that people put together with problems that they have in the villages. It might be drugs, it might be abuse, it might be this, it might be child pregnancy. And they would make a fantastic play with dance and everything and good direction and everything. And I loved the folk play and I enjoyed it very, very much. And I'm very grateful that I had an opportunity to work with folk theater. They've taken me on the folk theater panel now. And the people, when they have a meeting, they say, Mrs. Seeley, why are you not on the folk theater panel? Because I used to give them very good adjudication and they will tighten up different things and come back and make better marks. And I loved it, but they have removed me now off the theater panel as if I don't know what I'm doing. So you see, that is how do they put me on? You don't know about theater. But I was in theater all my life.
I think Camille wants to say something, Miss Seeley.
Yes, if I may. If I could be the devil's advocate, Gregor, I have a question for you.
Yes.
A scenario, more or less. Pardon me?
You are judging the judges.
No, if you have a gentleman or a woman who has a degree in a specific area, let's say theater, beyond theater, okay? Very, very competent as far as black and white is concerned. Certified, knows what they're doing, letters behind the name and so on. But that person has never judged a performance before. That person has never had the experience of being on a stage. That person has never, they just went to school, they love theater, and I decided to pursue this particular field. But I have zero experience. I've never been on a stage. I don't know what it is to forget my lines. I don't know what it is to improv. I don't know anything like that. But I have it on black and white. Would you hire me to be an adjudicator?
Well, thank you for that wonderful question. Because that leads us to the next question we was about to ask. Should choosing a judge for cultural traditional competition be based on academic knowledge or layman's practical experience? You are the judges. You may have to answer that.
But one thing I want to say about what Camille asked just now is that she said that you would be study on a particular field, but it's hardly likely that you would never perform in that particular field. I just wanted to bring that up. So I want to
Right.
see
Because
Okay.
if you're studying drama or the arts, all through your course for the 4 years, you're going to be on stage doing something because that's what they put you to do. I did music, but part of it was performance. And so
Right.
I had concert performance, but I had operatic performance where I had to act and in costume and all kind of things. So I had theater all through my 4 years at McGill, but I had theater before I went away in Queen's Hall with all the shows and things I did there. And when I came back home, there was an opera company here in Trinidad, and we put on about 4 or 5 operas, and I was there again as principal and sometimes training people and everything. So I have a lot of, but you wouldn't know this. You would say Justin has a degree in music, but I have a lot of theater, experience
But
in
would
theater.
you admit though that
I
there's
theater
a
every day.
whole different it's a whole different atmosphere and a whole different adrenaline rush
Yeah.
when you are in pursuit of something and you've achieved it. Then what? We have so many young people now who have degrees in specific areas and so on, not just the performing arts,
Yeah.
but they have not yet been given the opportunity. Yes, I agree that you would have some form of experience in your pursuit.
Mhm.
But when it comes to the lookout world, here I come. I've made it this far, but here I am. I want to be on Broadway. I want to be a superstar. I want to be this. I want to be that.
Yeah.
But somebody has to give me that first shot. That first,
No, you got your
okay,
first shot.
what do I do next?
No, you get your first, when
It
you
has
come
to
out,
start
you get
somewhere.
your first shot in performance. You don't have to be a judge. To be a judge, you have to have the
But
experience and the
remember, we are
years and
speaking about
everything.
judges
Yeah.
here, Jocelyn.
Yeah.
Right. That's why I'm saying we are
Yes.
speaking
So what happened is
specifically
when you
about
come out, when I first
adjudication.
come out,
Wait, hold on.
Will you hire me?
This is silly. 1 second. Let her
Will
finish.
you hire? Yeah. So I'm asking. Yes,
Mhm.
I would have had a little experience on stage in pursuit of,
Mhm.
right? And I'm comfortable with my peers, the people. I may be even comfortable with my lecturers and so
Yeah.
on. But that would have taken me to this point. And I'm
Yeah.
saying now I'm at this point, I've achieved. I have my degree now. What's next? And I am asking, will you hire me as somebody fresh out? I have a degree, my wide-eyed, bushy-tailed. I'm ready for the world. Are you going to hire me with no experience to judge? Whatever the situation is, whatever the
Well, I
competition
was
is.
trying to answer
Will you?
you.
I totally
No, but
believe.
actually, I want Gregor to answer me.
Okay,
Okay.
I totally believe that in as much as one may have the academic knowledge and qualifications on the certain criteria of whatever art form they're willing to involve themselves in and judge, I still feel the practical experience is the most important because the people up there are not talkers. The people up there are actually doing
Right.
something. So you have to look at for the practical. So already the both of them actually assist. But I feel that a lot of people come out of university and expect to be a judge or be a judge in a competition. And that doesn't give you the rights because you have not acquired the performing skill. I said it the other night. I have choreographed and won Best Choreographer 11 times in Best Village. And I don't feel that I am a choreographer because I haven't choreographed the ultimate piece as yet. I haven't done anything that is long lasting and could stand out in 50 years from now. So I am still a choreographer in training. So that's what I'm saying. People need to know that there is work to go in here and stop getting all the glory. Stop getting glorification about sitting down with a panel and doing the hair and looking nice and
Correct.
pretty. They have to stop it. They need to be competent, and I am sticking with the word. Mr. Butler don't like it, but I feel that people need to be competent in whatever you are going to do. Very competent and very confident. But the most important thing is competence.
And
Thank you.
may I stick a pen in here? And how will you get the competency? With the experience.
It's experience that you have to have. You have
No,
to have some
Experience.
years
That
of
is the only thing.
experience.
And
but
this
you
is
have to
my
remember, you have to
Can I-
remember.
can I-
Okay, sorry.
This is what
Gregor,
I
you
feel.
know, you haven't answered my question.
This
My
is
question
pertaining.
to you, Gregor. You still haven't
One
done.
second, Nolan.
Can I answer now? All right. My experience with this situation with somebody coming out of university or just getting their degree, I would not really put them on a panel. They will have to come under OJT, on the job training.
That's right.
You sit behind a judge, you work with a judge for a period of time, and then you will weigh how they are judging as compared to a judge with an experience. I am firmly of the opinion where you should not put somebody who just have come out or has come out of the university with a degree to sit with an experienced panel unless they're being on the job training.
Okay, Llewellyn, I want to ask you.
The competency will come in there.
I want to ask you all. I want to ask you all a question concerning the training of judges, because you're talking about training the on the job trainers and all of that. But we're going to come back to that question in 1 second. We want to take a voice note from a Miss Janine Charles Farry. If we can get that voice note before we continue.
Okay.
You know Janine Charles Foray, of course.
You heard her? Anna?
No. No.
All right.
You didn't hear her?
It was written down
I-
below on the panel before some time
Okay,
ago.
so we're going to come back to Janine's question then.
Wait, just so I need to say this before we actually go into the next part. I know a lot of people talk about experience, but my view on this is that good judgment comes from experience, and experience also comes from bad judgment.
Bad judgment.
No, Gregory, at the process of the years,
Why are you always bringing these negative aspects all the time? None of the judges have negative aspects in their practice.
you would know if a judge is good or bad during the years. You will.
I can't answer it because all of these judges who are on this panel that I see have all been very competent and good judges. They have no bad judges.
These are what we're talking about the panel.
No, Miss Tilly, we are not personal. We are not talking
because it doesn't pertain to me.
judges in general. I am not talking to anybody on the
Generalize it.
I cannot tell you why some people will judge badly. I told you already what I thought. If they really don't know and they don't have the experience. But I don't know why some people judge badly, I don't know why.
I wanted to find out from the panel then, before we go back to Janine's question, one of our viewers.
Yes.
I was just talking about training. So like if somebody just comes out of university or they get some experience or some qualification,
Yes.
she was talking about letting them do like a on-the-job training or something like that. My question is still on training, but
Yes.
this with respect to the judges. Before you all go to judge any competition, whether it be Best Village or in, I guess, Panorama, any other arena,
Yes.
do you all actually sit and as a panel or as a group and go through some sort of training or as to how the procedure for this particular competition will run, so that you are all kind of on the same page? If you have questions about the criteria, the rubric.
We can't do that because, as Mr. Butler said, we're supposed to be 5 people bringing 5 different perspectives. We're supposed to come and bring our individual perspective. I don't even know who is judging until I reach the place. And then I find out who is on the panel with me. I never know who's judging. Nobody tells us anything. And you find out who is judging with you when you arrive at the event. We don't
Mr.
need
Is that your experience?
I know that there were a few instances where we had the opportunity to have some little
Yes, we have.
talking
Yes,
about
we have.
what we were supposed
I have
to
done that.
looking at the judging sheet, right? I think it's a good idea. It is not influencing everybody, but it is an introduction into this is the paper that you are going to use to judge on, and this so that everybody will be on the same page in terms of what all the criteria means,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Now, the rubric is a great help to you because when you get your rubric individually and you look at it, you can determine, well, this is how I'm going to just 5 marks in here, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and if they qualify here, they're going to get 3 marks. But however, I still feel that it is always good to have a little tete-a-tete before, if it is possible, even before on the actual day when the judging is to take place or the first judging is to take place, and you know that the judges are for this particular event. And if at 10 minutes you spend so that everybody, you gel together sort of thing. I see nothing wrong with that. But I think that the rubric, if that cannot happen, will assist greatly in us all having the same head.
But as you on the rubric point, you can hit this question. Do you think that by adding the criteria level of difficulty to the rubric should bring about a commendable result? You think the level of difficulty, because I realize in most rubrics in most of the competitions in West Village, that part has been omitted, level of difficulty. Do you think that
You want to be,
should,
you want to be, are you dealing with the with the trophy the folk theater?
everything, all various aspects of the
Does it apply
competition,
to
some level of
What's that?
difficulty? I don't see that at all.
Or you don't? So you are feeling that that should be an area that is placed in?
What do you think? What do you think, Mr. Marlin? What do you think about that?
Well, I really don't have a decision on that at this point, because based on what I am seeing before me in terms of from excellent to poor, I think that we have everything covered. I think that the difficulty would be covered within that system.
Can you read out what you have in front of you?
Yes,
Can you read out the rubric that you have in front of you?
Yeah. Okay, what I have here, direction. Direction, we do we're talking folk theater, right? Direction. So it's excellent. You're talking about use of space. Excellent. The contestants' command of the stage was masterful. All elements of performance were externally value to the performance. So that's a 5. 4. Well,
Getting a little bit of
performance
difficult
utilize
in hearing what
the
Mr. Allen is
performance. That
Mr. Allen, we have a little
less
problem.
and less until you reach.
We're having a little problem hearing you. So what we're going to do is to go to the voice notes before we come back to Mr. Allen and the criteria. So let's go to the voice notes. Let's listen to that voice note again from Janine.
Hey, I'm trying to get my comment through. Can you please ask the panel about the rubric, those of them who have judged for Best Village? What is the rubric? How intense is it? And what guidance does it give for the technical assessment of the categories in the Best Village? I know that Panorama and Calypso Monarch are very detailed, and it is my understanding that the rubric will inform those specific areas that need to be assessed at Best Village. Is it the same? Thank you.
Okay, I'm not sure if did you all hear Janine's question?
Yes.
Okay, so it's kind of in tandem with what Mr. Allen was just reading out. He was trying to give us an idea of what the rubric is about. It may not be, well, Ms. Jocelyn, you can actually tell us if it's, because you have experience in both as well, that if the criteria is as detailed in both of them or not.
I don't remember. I don't seem to have a rubric. I don't like if you tell me 50 is fair and 60 is good and 70 is very good. I find that you should leave a judge, because each one of us have an idea of what is good, what is excellent, and so on. So I feel that you should leave people Now, you're going to look at degree of difficulty. It's not written down degree of difficulty. But when you're watching a dance or you're watching a piece of music or something, or you're hearing a choral piece that is arranged and everything, you recognize the degree of difficulty when you hear it. So if it was very difficult and it's beautifully done, you're going to give it an excellent mark for that. So you notice the degree of difficulty. If something is very simple, you notice it's very simple. So in your judgment, your individual judgment, you're doing that. So I never use I don't think they gave us a rubric they give you criteria, but they don't tell you what you should do 1, 2, 3, and 4. They leave it up to you, but they could give me 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then I will just put 1, 2, 3, and 4 according to what I think anyway, because I do eventually give a mark that is graded the performance as I see fit and what I think is fair and what I think is just, and I will make comments on the side to say, well, why I think this was the best you did, and it could have been better if you did so and so and so and so. So I don't follow the rubric, but I have a rubric in my head because I know what an excellent performance is. And you know, when you see it and it's flawless, you know it and you recognize it. And if it's complicated and difficult, you recognize it's complicated and difficult. So you get extra marks because the difficulty is very high. The difficulty is very high.
Get extra marks where? Extra marks for
well, if I am marking out of 100, if somebody does an excellent performance and it was difficult and they handled it really well, I will go to 90 or something like that. I will give them a high mark because of the way they were competent and they did it and they performed it and it was excellent. I can't even think of a better performance. So I will give them a mark to suit the performance that they have given.
But you know,
I think what Mindy is trying to get at is which the criteria itself. Where are you going to get the extra marks? Is that what you're trying to say? You will get the extra
all right.
marks.
The criteria is performance or presentation, and you have 30 marks for presentation or 20 marks or 25 or whatever it is. If the person really uses the stage well, has good rapport with the audience, moves up and down, audience is responding, this is in Calypso and all of that, then they have a good rapport and it is a good presentation. Sometimes they have props, but sometimes they have props and it's not a good presentation. So you have to look at what the individual is doing and everything and how well they're putting their Calypso over. And of course,
also the authenticity of
the presentation, but then you have diction and performance too. So you go to the diction and performance now, and if you're hearing all the words and everything clear and everything,
panel, we
you get a good mark if the whole thing was a good performance.
Okay, panel. Ms. Janine Charles Surrey said that is a flaw right there.
What is a flaw right there?
You cannot leave space in a rubric for an individual judge to guess or guesstimate accuracy and or excellence in an art form. Review that Best Village folk rubric pronto. This brings us to the next question. What you all feel
I don't
about
understand the language at all. I'm not guessing. I don't guess. I don't
this
guess.
brings us to the next. This brings us to the next question, and the next question will go.
Could you, before you go to the next question, Greg, we have Mervyn would be able to attest to this, Jocelyn, Llewellyn, and even Eric in his absence. Let's go 10 years down. We're talking about Best Village here, right? Adjudication for Best Village. As that young lady just asked about, 10 years ago, I being on a judging panel for music, for theater, and Lauren Rivet, we didn't have a rubric. We had a judging criteria.
Yeah.
So there was more. We didn't have. I shouldn't say we didn't have one, but what we have in place now, for want of a better term, there's more damage control. Simply because in the past there was too much room for that human element or that my opinion matters in judging, particularly Best Village. That's why you had groups after saying, but how the results turn out this way? what this judge know what they're doing, you know, that kind of thing. That's where all the questions came up with regards to the competence of judges and so on. But I can tell you, over the past couple of years, and the introduction and the you know the introduction and the situativeness, again for want of a better term, to the rubric that we have before us now as adjudicators, it narrows things down a bit. So yes, to answer her question, we do have a rubric now. And like Mervyn said, it works well. So
Yeah,
where
it's an
a judge may, it works well because where a judge may have wanted to, you do have to have some form of personal opinion because like Eric said, you have, it's 5 different individuals with 5 different opinions. But that rubric is going to take us all to the same place and narrow things down a bit. So you find that even if I wanted to stray and say, okay, I really love Gregor's choreography, and just because I love his choreography and I felt something when I saw that performance, I will give him an extra 10 marks. The rubric does not leave room for that, in my opinion. The rubric doesn't
Okay.
leave room for that.
Okay, well, but that's why. Well, if the rubric doesn't leave room for that, that means the judges that are placed to use this rubric must be the word that we talk
Must
about
be.
today.
Experience,
Competent.
experience,
Competent. Competent.
And
Because
competence
if
come
you're
with
using that rubric,
experience.
competence comes with experience. Like I
Competence
said,
comes with
because
experience.
over the last 10 years, I have judged this competition without a rubric. And now, fortunately, I'm just saying, I just use 10 years as an average. Okay, but in my case, I've been adjudicating Best Village, let's say, for more than 10 years, right? But now I have something to guide me. I have something that says X, Y, and Z. You all, the performers, the choreographers, the arrangers, they need to now trust this process. And apparently that's the most difficult thing for them to do. They're still dwelling on this the competence of the judges, the competence of the judges. But what about trusting the process? The organizers of Beyond Best Village, so the organizers of the Prime Minister's Best Village competition must, I mean, they must have some form of competence as well to put a judging panel together.
I agree with you. I understand what you're saying. And because you talk about process, I want to move on to that exact thing, the actual process of judging. So, in whatever forum, all right, whether it be Best Village, Sunfest, Panorama, my question to you, well, I see that we have lost Mr. Allen for some reason. I'm not sure what's going on there.
Mr. Butler has gone, yeah.
We will see if we get him back on the panel. I wanted to find out about the actual process. I know there are different ways that judging takes place. First of all, there is the process where you make your marks and you have all the marks in front of you until it's time, the competition is over, you hand in all your marks. And then you have the table or the tabulator assess and conjugate all the marks and announce the winner. Then there's the process where you have to actually give this particular person a mark and you pass the paper up. I know Best Village, I think in 2019, instituted that change. So you give the person a grade. Sandfest also did that. All right. I think last year or year before. You give them your mark and you pass it on. So there is no record for you as a judge per se to know about all the marks that you gave all the competitors. And my question to you now, which way would you prefer and which way do you think is more, I don't want to use fair, but viable?
Well, during the process, the last few years, I don't think we have that just passing the mark individual by group or individual or whatsoever. It depends on what dance well, I am dance. So what is in front of you? We have calypso dance. So you will have 6 individuals, 5 individuals, 4 individuals that would be taking part in the competition that night, whether it be preliminaries or semifinals. So you wouldn't really pass the paper as soon as a performer is finished. What you can do as a good judge, once we come back to the experience again, Gregory, you
I
make
don't know.
notes you make notes because of the amount of competitors you might have. You may still have a little chance to make notes as to say, well, okay, I give the glass this score, and I give the laptop this score. So some people will still have their marks through the night as to what they would have given, because you really don't, and you don't give up the sheet relatively until all the competitors on that particular genre performs.
Some
And that's
competitions stop that though, Llewellyn. And as soon as you write the mark or you grade this person, I know Miss Jocelyn Steely would have experienced that for Sandfest, where we give them the mark and then you
yeah,
pass the paper to the tabulator one time. So you
yeah, but
have to look at each performance, but you don't have them in a vacuum. You look at the performance, you pass the mark. So you don't have no reference to say, okay, I'm giving her a little more than this one, I'm giving him a little
It is
less. What I'm asking is, do you prefer a process like that, or you prefer to have everybody marked at the same time, finish your category, then pass your
It is not, it is not possible to judge competently if you do not have. I have a paper on my right side, which is my scrap paper, and I have the names of all the bands and what they play and who arrange. And I have to give up at the end of everything. You give it up. Why you give it up is because they don't want you to change it, which is fine. I'm not going to change it. So you give up at the end of every band. You give it up. You're not even allowed to speak to the judges on either side of you until you give up the paper.
Okay.
I have a list of everybody, because when you have 15 or 20 bands or something, or 30 bands or something, I'm not going to remember who I gave what. And I'm supposed to be putting people in order of merit. So I have to keep a list of people. And then I see who is emerging up in the 90s, who is in the upper 80s, who's going on. I'm putting people according to their standard of playing, but I'm also putting them one above the other or one below the other and so on. So I must have that paper that I can refer to for me. I don't show it to anybody else. It's my private paper, but I have it. And that's the way I
Right.
work with that system. I don't mind if you want to take it up, because they're doing that because they didn't want people to come and change their mark after the performance, which you shouldn't
Right.
do, really. Yeah.
Mr. Mervyn?
Mindy, because of, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead, Camille.
So because of the questioning of the competency of the judges, that would have been one of the reasons why they introduced that new system where you have to give your marks up immediately on scoring. But again, to refer to Llewellyn, what Llewellyn is saying, if you have the experience as a judge, you would know that somewhere on the side of you, you should have your own personal little score sheet where you record the marks that you would, or the scores that you would have given
That's what I said. Yeah.
throughout the course of the
Yeah.
evening.
Yeah.
And based on that, whether they ask, whether whether they ask for the sheet immediately after a performance or at the end of a category, it wouldn't really matter to you, because you would already, because you won't really remember everything that you see on during the course of the time that you're judging. But if you are experienced enough, you will know from the moment you get that sheet in front of you. And I see that with almost everybody, because I've judged with everybody on the panel tonight, and you would see the moment we get those score sheets, you would see everybody pulling out a blank sheet of paper, and they would be writing down the names of the performances or whatever, and having that ready for your personal, so that at the end of the competition, you could still, even, that's your personal
Yeah.
sheet. So at the end of the competition, you could now refer to it and say, oh yes, we were all on the same page. Look, I gave this score. And and sometimes you would realize sometimes the marks are, if everybody is on the same
Close.
page,
Yeah.
sometimes the marks are like 0.5 away from each other, 1 point away from each other, and
1
so on,
point,
even
sometimes
without
2.
collaboration.
And it's not to
That's right.
cut across you. It's not because of incompetency that they brought it in. They're afraid you're going to
No,
cheat and go and push a
that's
mark
right.
in
And it's
that they don't want you to
because
be biased to any performer, so they
yeah,
take it
and
away from you. That is
that's right.
not
And it's
incompetency.
because
They know
the
very
group
well you're competent.
Well,
over the years, the groups and the performers would have indicated some level of mistrust, some level of
Yes.
whatever. They
Because they
always
don't
question
trust you
judges.
yet.
I mean,
Not
But I would
incompetent.
even
so
argue.
they tried to introduce systems that would probably eliminate some of that
I asked the question because I
tension.
hear people arguing about just what you're saying, keeping a little score sheet, but I see nothing wrong with it. Other people don't have that same
No,
view. I hear you all saying that you keep your just for your records, for you to make sure that you are judging the competition according to how you want, because you are the judge.
You
But
have to do that. You have
yeah,
to do it. And the point is, you're not talking to anybody. You don't get up and go anywhere. You don't carry that sheet. You don't show it to anybody. And until the competition is finished, nobody sees that sheet but you. So there is no reason for them to be upset if you're keeping a private sheet on your side. You must do that. Otherwise, you can't judge. You can't judge in a vacuum. You have to have it.
well, Miss Joyce, Miss
would
Silly,
you?
Yeah.
one second. I really believe that
Go ahead, Gregor.
we have a voice note coming up. So we'll run right to the voice note to hear what the audience have to say.
Okay.
Hi, just last question, I promise. Competence, yes. The statement competence comes with experience. Yes, but competence comes with experience in practicing the art form, not necessarily judging the art form. Competence means the ability to do something successfully or efficiently. And it is important to note that if an art form keeps evolving constantly, shouldn't a judge and of course the participants be up to date with the knowledge of the original traditional core of the art form, so that when innovative applications are made, they can understand it as such and be able to judge it accordingly, especially if they're judging over time, like especially over a number of years? Thank you.
Well, yeah, thank you, Miss Farray. That was a very
Miss Janine again.
Miss Jenny, that was a very wise
It was more of a statement.
statement, yeah.
She agreed with some parts of what you all were saying.
But
I don't understand. I would like to interject. I don't understand if you talk about innovative, because one of the things you do when you're judging folk is you look for authenticity, because we have to keep the folk as pure as it was 150 years ago when it came over. You're supposed to look, you
That's
cannot
right.
be innovative in folk. You could be innovative in interpretive dance and stuff like that, like what you might do, Mr. Breedy. But when you come to the folk, you have to look for the authentic steps and the authentic movement and the authentic drumming and rhythms. So they
and
don't
that
have to
comes in very strong.
but you want to keep the folk going. And
Yes.
I'm looking now, and people are doing a lot of things with folk and interfering with it and putting all kinds of stuff that don't belong. And if you do that in about 50 years' time, we're not going to have any folk remaining that will be authentic.
That brings me to the
That's right.
point.
Yeah, you cannot do that with folk.
That brings me to the point that if the folk people are doing their dances or
Yes.
doing their things,
Yeah.
and somebody walks in without they're not competent in the field, then they will do anything against them.
Mr. Brady, why don't you assume that the judges are competent? Because most of the judges I know are competent in doing this. I have been with West Village for like 20-something years. The judges, people have their masters in judging and all of that, like Hazel Franco and all of them. They're very competent in the judging and know exactly what they're doing.
And that is why the folk is dwindling right now today, because they have.
I'm not talking about today, I'm talking about when I used to be
That's
judging.
not the onus is not on the judges
and
dwindling.
people knew what they were doing. You have to be careful.
If a ballet comes up, no, we'll have to talk. If a ballet comes up with the wrong costuming, and because Noellen, like say Noellen, love that costume, it's pretty, it takes a color, she love red, she love flowers, and and the ballet look good. But it has a beautiful costume, but the dance is all wrong. Llewellyn will get, well, I'm not saying Llewellyn.
Anybody who is judging a ballet dance looks for the ballet steps and the ballet rhythm. They look for it to be correct. That's what you do.
That's your opinion.
May I interject?
Sure.
Yes.
Every aspect of the dance, authenticity, original steps, every aspect of the dance. And I am of the opinion where a recommendation should be made to, we're speaking of Best Village, where they should have a special price for authenticity. Because what is happening is we are losing it. We will see a calypso dance with African steps, all kind of different steps.
You see, because what is happening now, they're sending out, Best Village is sending out dance instructors. They're sending out dance instructors to do dance. It means that the instructors
I am of the opinion where it is not the onus of the judges. So we judge.
Thank you. I was just about to say that.
So
I was just about to say that.
As to what they are putting on stage.
But Llewellyn, if the choreographer put something that is not completely authentic on stage, and then you give that person the win or something, what does that say about the competition?
You have to go further back, yeah? Wait a minute.
Yes,
go ahead.
Now back to the criteria. If the costume is wrong, you do not give them the marks.
That's it.
If the steps are original, you give them the marks. If whatever it is, and you go down the line.
So the possibility is that they will still win.
I would like to say something.
Yes,
they
still can.
Just a minute, a lot of times that happens. Oh my God, the dance was great.
I want to say something that is permanent.
How could you win? You cannot win if you don't. For you to win, you would relatively have to have almost every aspect of the criteria. You must.
Miss Jocelyn?
Yeah.
Miss Jocelyn, we were not hearing you. Can we just hear your opinion now?
Yeah, the Best Village people are sending out dance instructors. You have to be careful. Listen, dance instructors go out and they pay them to go out in the village to teach them. So if you have people going out there and then they come and they present this thing on stage, which you and I see, and you see that it is not authentic, it means that from the beginning, they have to watch what they're doing at the start and get really a good people who know what they're doing, so that you keep the tradition authentic all the time.
So you are suggesting
the judges. We just have to do what we see.
So it's going further back than the competition on stage. It needs to go from the tutors
back to the teaching in the villages. My
thing is the box stops at the judges. But I agree with you.
But you see, don't bring something that is ill prepared and that is not really authentic to a performance stage. Why would you do that? That is not fair to the people. And you send a dance instructor. Know the yabolo, should know the this, should know the bongo, should know everything, and teach it correctly.
Miss Silly, what about Miss Silly? And that's why I'm telling you, as a choreographer, I am very passionate about this because
I am very passionate about it, and I'm not a dancer. I'm very passionate about it.
Wait, Miss Silly, passionate because you are throwing it back to the dance tutors.
But that's where it begins.
No. But when the dance tutors put on the shows, you all give these things with all the authenticity. When in the rubrics,
not Llewellyn and not me. Don't say you all because
I'm not in agreement with you with that at all. No, Gregory.
Come on.
No, Gregory, what, Llewellyn?
I'm not in agreement with that.
And 10. Now, one of the things for me personally, you said, Mindy, that the buck stops with the judges, but it starts with the trainers.
Yes.
So the buck starts there, but it ends here.
Right.
I am saying we deal with the here and now. We don't deal with the past, we deal with present, what is placed before us at a particular given time. That's what we judge. We don't know what the process was when the choreographer was putting this piece together. If the choreographer knew that they needed to wear white and not floral, or they needed to be in stripe and not polka dot, we don't know that. What we know is what we see before us. And it's very possible. I have seen, let me talk about La Nuit. Let me just go a little bit. I have seen a queen that would have, on the night of La Grande Affair, the final night, evening gown, hairstyle, makeup, and so on. A queen that was consistent in the process. Very good in talent, very good in self-expression. Maybe sometimes all the entire judging panel will not be the same. But somewhere along the line, one or two of those judges would have seen that queen or that performance from preliminary to semi-final or semi-final to final stage. But what they judge on that night is what is placed before them. So you see a queen, she comes out, and one of the criteria for your evening gown would be the creative use of folk material, right? And you would see a beautiful gown and whatever, and the audience, the impact is fantastic, and she would, it's like, wow. And then you hear fourth runner-up, or you're somewhere along the line there, and that queen's name would be called, and the audience will go crazy. What? Oh my God, how is that possible? Whatever. Not realizing that the process or what got that queen to that point in time, the judges would have judged on that night what would have been before them. So you find a queen would have been first in talent. First, have you all ever noticed that? A queen would have come first in talent, and she may not have been so strong in self-expression, and her gown would not have been so fantastic. And you wonder how she came second. When you look at the scores and the consistency of her mark, like what Noellen was saying, it's not just one particular area. Gregor, authenticity of folk, or that's just one area on a whole sheet of scoring to be done. So when you have 20 marks for something, hang on, when you have 20 marks for authenticity, and then you have 20, let me just say 20 for choreography, you have, most times the least amount of marks would be impact. So you have probably 5 marks for impact, and then you have costuming, you have use of stage, you have, cohesiveness, a whole lot of other stuff. If you do not exhibit the authentic movement or so on, and you are judged accordingly, you don't have the authentic moves, so I give you 8 out of 20, because not authentic, but all the other aspects. You have made the marks in all the other aspects. What is going to happen to that score? Authenticity is one aspect of the judging criteria needs to be looked at.
If it's not
you get 0.
Yes. You get them 0 if it's not authentic. And they will get
you get them 0 for what?
If something is not authentic, what are you giving it 1 for? If you bring me a silver scale and tell me it's gold, I wouldn't give you 100%. I give you a none because it's not gold. If it's not authentic, it is 0. You cannot give them a point.
No, you see, but right.
But Gregor, you are still dwelling on just one aspect of our judging criteria. There are so many. Okay, what if you're authentic, but there was no, listen, your dancers was all over the place. Your choreography is authentic, but your dancers all over the place. The costume is wrong. There was no use of stage. They weren't smiling. It's a ballet and everybody's serious. what happens to the
So,
rest of the
Camille,
scoring
I
system?
agree with you that the criteria would probably have to be reviewed. But right now, we want to take a voice note. We are in wrap-up mode because, we have been discussing for a long time. But let's take this voice note and then we will start to wrap up.
I do not believe that you could as a judge you can watch a competition or a certain category being presented in front of you, and let's say it's a calypso song competition, and there's tonality and all these things from a singer, but the person come and sing a Boyz II Men, how do I, but they were beautiful and they cover all the criteria. You trying to tell me they could win? You're supposed to judge in the authenticity. The things are supposed to apply with the authenticity of what is being presented to you in what category. I do not believe that someone who is not authentic could win an authentic competition. That is very irresponsible.
Thank
Okay,
you very much
guys.
to that speaker. You just clear what I just said. Anyways, we need to carry on because we won't be here all night. Now I have been to competitions, a lot of competitions, and somewhere along the line in a national competition, the judges on the panel, Mr. Mervin, this well, you can answer it first. The judging on the panel seemed to change drastically by the time it reached finals. Um, do you think that judging for a competition supposed to be consistent all through the competition, or even if it's in finals, if you're judging finals alone, all through the judges should be consistent, and you can't have five judges tonight and the next five the other night and all this in a competition. I've seen this happening a lot in Trinidad, and we allow it to go by. Take over.
Yeah, I firmly believe that it should be a consistent team of judges.
Panel.
Consistent. What happens in the best
Yes.
village is that because there are circumstances where things can happen, and a judge might not be able to appear a night for no reason, of his own, because sometimes I have sickness or whatever. So that what is being done is that, let's say you have 6 judges, you're going to use 5, but that person will be judging because will be judging so that they too will be consistent in terms of the type of marks that is going on, because they are judging every night. So just in case one of those judges who are judging every night is not there, that person will have to fill in. And that person will fill in because remember, you have the competition already set. We don't want to tell them to come another day to do the competition and so on, because a reason has come up that one of the judges cannot make it on a particular night. So that we try in that area to have it consistency in terms of one group of judges, one panel, that same panel judging right through for that part of the competition, whether it's semi-finals, finals, or whatever.
Okay, that sounds fair. What
Have you heard
about
me?
yes, we
Yes,
heard
we did,
you.
we did.
Yes. My quick questions, I know we're wrapping up, is you said consistent throughout, but what about if we have consistent judges for prelims, then we have a next set of consistent judges for semis, and a final set of consistent judges for finals? Do you all think that should be appropriate, or should it be the same judges from prelims to semis to finals, so that the judges can assess whether they have seen improvement, or groups taking into consideration their feedback?
I think we can go with the same panel. Why the same panel? Because remember, at the first 2 levels, the prelims and the semis, whenever we have the semis, there's advice given to the groups in terms of improving or comments, because you don't give only for improving, you give the good and whatever you see, wherever you see improvement, because in all those you will see where there are good parts, right? So you tell them about the good, you compliment them about the good, and you mention that, well, this is what we observe or what we feel that you can do to improve. It's up to you if you want to take it or not, right? So since you are telling them what they can do to improve, I feel it just right that you be allowed to judge at the higher level.
Yeah, well, Mr. Mervyn, for smaller competitions, that might be viable. But what about if you have, you mentioned Best Village, what about if you have a competition like that, which takes place all over the country, sometimes on same nights and that kind of thing? You wouldn't be able to have one person being in 4 different areas at the same time. Although I know they try to schedule things that the people could move around. Do you think that is very realistic
Mm-hmm.
in Best Village sense of competition?
Well, what I do know, I think that because I have been all over the country judging, right? Because maybe in the prelims you might have a different view, maybe, but all for now because sometimes we miss out the that semi-final part. So from the prelim you go straight on to the finals, right? And this is what we have been seeing. As far as I could remember, that you have judges, criteria, whether it is what you try to have group of
Okay, we seem to having some problem there, technical problem.
I
But
think
anyway,
what Mervyn is trying to say, sorry, I think he's trying to say that the administrators at Best Village, we speaking of Best Village, try to structure the competitions in such a way where that particular panel, whether it's prelims or semis, it's hardly semis anymore, but in prelims, they try to structure it in such a way where we do Barataria Northwest one night, and then we go to Mondo and somebody else the next night. So they're structured in that way where it hardly ever would clash with other villages.
totally
Copy?
agreed.
and
No, I totally agree.
the same
But
panel of judges.
Yeah,
however,
same panel.
however, if the preliminary straight into finals, it's an elimination process.
Yeah,
Yes.
If the people that judge
yeah,
Northwest did not judge Aruka and 5 judges, and you are eliminated and you have eliminated Aruka, that is unfair because this maybe Aruka was good, but it wasn't good enough for those 5. They might be good enough for this next 5. So I
right.
feel the
So that
consistency
is why,
between.
hold on. That is why I try to make it clear in what I said. That same panel of judges is used at all the venues, right? So you try as much as possible to use the panel. Now, let's say that something happens to one person on the panel. There is an extra person who will be judging there, or so that person will just fill in, but they know all the semantics is in terms of what is going on with all the groups that have been judged before, because they would have been judged, but their mark just would not have been scored.
I would like to
It's the
say,
best that could be done
can you hear
in
me?
this situation.
Can you hear
Yes,
me?
Miss. Yes,
Yes,
yes, Mr.
I
Yeah.
think what I agree with Mervyn completely. You will get the best judging if you begin your preliminary panel might be 3. By the time you
Yes.
get to the semis, you add 2 more, you have 5, and you go forward to the finals. There should be consistency in the panel because the thinking would be the same, and they're going down the road together. And if I assume they're competent, the performances will be improving all the way down the line, and then the best person will win. You should not be changing the panel. You should remain with the same panel.
Okay, well, that was well answered, panel. Thank you very much. But we have a nice bacchanal time for you all. I mean, this was a hot topic. Can you all recall any 3 of your most remarkable experiences that you have seen or memorable? All 3 years? No, well, you judge for 20 years or 20 something years. You must
What
have
are we?
seen remarkable or memorable performances that you will say, yes,
Any genre.
anything.
I must tell you, I really love folk performances and especially dancing. I will always remember a performance done by Cocorit. It was about drugs and stuff. They had the most beautiful ballet. They were all in white. They were so beautiful that Hilton hired them for about a month to do the ballet by the poolside. It was a fantastic performance. I can't remember the name of it. And it came from Cocorit from behind the hospital up in that part that is
Yeah.
so one beautiful a play all about life and difficulties and so on. I have never, and another play I remember, Vance River. Vance Trevor gave a play about, I've never forgotten it, about teenage pregnancy. These two children, a girl and a boy was in school, and they drafted to each other and they became friends. And one thing led to another, she got pregnant. And the boys' house was on this side and the girls' house was on that side. That's the way the stage was organized. And it turned out in all the quarreling, when he went over the quarreling, it turned out they were brother and sister. It was the same father.
Wow.
Yes, and the teacher tried to help them, and she tried to have an abortion, and died. And I said, this is a wonderful play. This should go through the schools and let the children see the play. It was beautifully done with dance and music and everything. And they don't use it. They have all these resources in Best Village that you could use afterwards all through the year, going through and performing, and they didn't use it. I will always remember Vance Trevor and Cocorito.
You have one more. It can be pan anything. You have one more. Pan, scouted for talent, all those different things you judge. My God, you're the judge of judge.
Panorama is unbelievable. I'll never forget when they play, when All Stars come and play what is, it's not Corita Banca or something. And one of the judges, you know what one of the judges wrote? Too much razzle dazzle. That is what a judge is going to write. Do you know a judge actually wrote that? I am not responsible for the judge. They choose the panel and they put him next to me and I say, boy, how you could write that? He said, too much razzle dazzle. That's the comment you want to give the people. And how All Stars flashy. I mean, they bring down the house, like when it's ready. And I remember, I can't remember if it was one of these things with the fellow who died, Renegades. What was Renegades? What is the name of the? Oh gosh. And we used to go into the Zouk. You remember we used to go into Zouk?
Yes.
And go into romanting. And place go crazy. There's some beautiful panorama arrangements.
Well, Tempest Ramnaran will be very happy to hear you say that about All Stars.
Yeah, but All Stars, All Stars used to come with a lot of flash, When they come on stage, from the time they come on stage, they start to make noise already. Before they play.
Okay, so we'll go on to Noellen. Noellen, name your three most memorable of remarkable experiences you have had as a judge.
Well, at this point, because of the length of time I've been judging Best Village, I have seen so many memorable performances.
You only want three.
It is very hard it is very hard to pinpoint which three. I think it is unfair, Gregory. So all I am saying, I love Best Village. I look forward to judging Best Village. And most of the time, the performances are great performances. It will be, my heart will grieve for me to choose three.
So Noellen, no performance have made you go home and sweat and went like, yes, I like that. Yes.
Cocorito had a vagrant dance, a vagrant dance. You hear what I'm telling you? A vagrant dance.
Yeah.
It was so innovative. It was unbelievable. Yeah. Really
I like Miss Joyce. Miss Joyce can explain what she like about it.
But it was something else. They did it so well. I don't know who did that, who worked with them that year, but that was a brilliant.
Jean Tony and Rosanna Tony, they were two great choreographers together.
Yeah. It was about drugs, and it was about also because this woman was living with a police inspector and she had a lovely daughter, and when she got out to work and he interfered with the daughter. So that was all these problems that people have in their lives was brought out in the play and resolved and everything, because they jailed the man. Eventually they caught him. And all, so I mean, it was a wonderful play.
But let's move on, Miss Celie, because we're getting time to wrap up here. And I know I have to call a personal interview with you because you have so much experience. Mr. Mervyn.
Yes, I would take a mix there of both Noellen and Jocelyn. In terms of, there were so many great productions that came out of this village. Because I remember that show that Justin spoke about there with the two boys and that sort of thing, right? But there are others that I can't remember names of groups and so on so well. But in terms of stage sets and the dynamism and performance, I remember this group last year. where they used the ship. I think that was Stone's group, where the ship was used as the the housing settlement.
Yes.
I don't know if you remember that.
Yes.
Right?
So
I always find that was a
Princess Town.
fantastic production. Right? I can't remember the name of the production, but I also remember that.
That
And
was so
of course, well, I have to call well, I didn't judge that one, but Mon Diablo, right? But there are productions that when
I
you
don't want to be biased, Gregory.
I live at Superior. We live at Superior. You live at Superior. Right? So after time, we'll have to down the road. Camille is there. Well, I'm happy because I have company from down the road, and we'll have sessions on these things. But those are two that I could remember off the top of my head. But there are others but I just can't remember the names of the groups. But there are other things in groups. Sometimes I remember going to a group and just before the show started, just watch it and say, wow, just amazing. And they kept up to what I saw on the stage in terms of the stage presentation. All right.
Okay, nice. Well, good. Shakil Jones, yes. Shakil Jones, we are seeing you. I am hearing you. Yes, okay. I hope you could come and be a moderator on this show sometime. Right.
Miss Camille, can you tell us about your experiences,
Yes, my dear.
your performances?
Well, I'm a combination of everything that those who spoke before me said. Judging Best Village, I would have had some really memorable experiences. And like Gregor said, I would have had some where, it made me go, wow. And then there would have been some where I went, oh. But the experience overall, and Gregor, we sometimes joke, you and I personally sometimes joke about some of those experiences. We would talk and laugh and say, oh, did you see that? Or, that kind of thing. But overall, as a judge, let me go back a little bit to add to what Mervyn said. This was not a judge scenario for me. I was a performer in this instance, and being on stage. And I have to be a little bit biased coming out of Superior. And one of the stalwarts that paved the way for folk theatre on the whole would have been Andrew Worrell. And I distinctly remember one of the greatest performances, that came out of West Village would have been a play called The Root of All Evil. And well, at least I don't know how many of you, if you all know about it. And I believe that's one of the plays that could stand the test of time, like Greco was saying. Could I take something from then and bring it into now? And I believe that's one of the performances that you could take, because that was that was early 90s or late 80s. That would have been late 80s.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Right. And it's a play that you could take and actually put into 2020 and be very relevant. I think around that time, West Village would have started to evolve. We saw the introduction for the first time with the use of live sets coming alive. When you talk about creative use of folk material, where you would see a graveyard scene and the graves would open and skeletons would come out, and the use of UV light was introduced. So all the entire savannah is pitch black, and you would just see these skeletons coming out of the graveyard, and you would be hearing the accompanying sounds to go with it. You would walk past sandpipe and see water running out.
Camille, the start of that was in Jamaica. The start of that was in Jamaica. Yes. Where we went to perform in Jamaica, and we could not use the flambeau in the hotel. And Andrew Worrell said, you have to use a light. And that fluorescent idea came. And that was the beginning of the fluorescent innovation into the business.
That's right. We did a Cambole dance, and we couldn't use the flambeau. And Mr. Worrell was like, okay, so what do we do? And I remember cutting out these neon Bristol board, and so for me, it's not just about the judging, but it's about seeing the art form evolve. One of my experiences would have been in Sandfest as well. I mean, this was beautiful for me. There was a young man, I can't remember his name. He came from a school in South Santa Flora. I don't know if it's Santa Flora Anglican, I believe, and doing folk solo. And he was doing Yellow Bird. So he had his props, and the bird was on the tree, and the song started. And while he's singing, beautiful voice, the bird fall. And he saw the young man so mannish. He stopped it. He said, "Hold on." He said, "Judges, wait, hold on." And I'm talking about probably about 7 or 8 years old. Hold on. He said, "Can I please just pick up my bird? It is part of my performance." And listen, everybody was in auditory. I am assuming it was the teacher on the sidelines. I remember it was at Creative Arts in San Fernando. And listen, that young man won the heart of. And listen, well spoken. He said, "Judges," he said, "Hold on, can I pick up my bird? It's part of my performance." He couldn't finish singing Yellow Bird. And we didn't have a choice. We actually had to let him start over. He picked up his bird, he fixed it in the tree, in the branch, and he started over.
Lovely.
And to me, it was.
Did you all follow him
Pardon
up
me?
to find out what he's doing? Did you all what he's doing now? You all know anything about him? What he's doing now?
To be quite honest with you, no. To be quite
Oh.
honest with you, no, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. To be quite honest, but that was one of my.
I was in
Pardon?
I was in Man Better Man by Errol Hill, And when you talk about not being able to carry flambeau and thing, and we went Queen's Hall stage and we carry a flambeau, and we sing "Out in the road, come out in the road, warrior," and we cross the stage and things. We went all up in England and Scotland and things, and we carry that Man Better Man, that play. I was really excited. John Bunny Williams was alive. He was with us.
Oh, the dancer.
Peter Pitts and all that. Wayne Barkley did our costuming. That was a lovely show.
You're big.
Man Better Man.
Well, for me, I can tell you one. I have one remarkable or memorable experience.
Yes.
One. I know what it is.
What's that?
Some of the results the judges give us.
Oh, Lord.
My most remarkable.
Oh, goodness.
I go home in shock. Total shock. I'm like,
Gregory, you're going good so far. We were going good.
You know, Ellen, the judges, not you.
Yeah, you was going good, Gregor.
Yeah, but by the way, you all are very lively panel tonight. I know you all feel a little attacked. We weren't attacking you. These are just some of the questions.
You were definitely attacking us, telling us we know bad judging and things.
Questions that a lot of people in Trinidad and Tobago would have liked to ask the judges.
I feel attacked.
If anybody asked me those kinds of questions, I would turn away and walk away. I wouldn't answer.
And you are not
That's okay.
You must be accountable for everything you do.
We confident enough to answer. Confident
Never
enough.
mind, I'm guilty. All I have to do is stay black and die. Me, I don't stay black and die. I do nothing else. I have to do nothing else.
Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you, Mr. Butler here. We thank you for a very engaging conversation. We realize that we really chose the correct people for this panel this evening. Thank you.
Thank you for asking me. Thank you.
Experience.
I just apologize. I just apologize.
Gregor, I want to talk about a specific.
We not a.
Gregor,
Yeah,
I want
not
to
a
talk
problem,
about
Mr.
a specific Lauren Rive experience, but I don't want you to stone me. You heard me?
Yes, I did. Mr. Mervyn, you haven't mentioned La Divina Pastora at all. But you was a lead singer in La Divina Pastora with Daisy Voice.
Well, I'm still there. I'm still there. I'm still there.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes. Yeah.
I'll tell you what I miss, Mervyn. Whenever I see you, we always have to come and give Mervyn a kiss, Everybody gives Mervyn a kiss.
I'm taking it tonight, you know.
Happy Father's Day, Melvin. You were almost my
Given
daddy.
his storyfish.
Oh, Lord. Yeah. Still going strong.
Don't be nervous.
It's well liked.
So Gregory,
Thank you. Thank
Gregory,
you.
when I stop judging, you will ask me that question again as the three best performances or memorable performances, not while I am judging.
I
Ask
understand.
me that when I'm
Yes.
judging.
I'm waiting for your
Noel
compliments.
in here setting up. He ain't going to set
I'm
up
waiting for
nobody
your
here.
compliments, Noel. Don't worry.
Gregor, our experience,
Well,
our
one thing,
experience is
it
going
has
to
been
make
made
sure you don't
public.
set us up.
It has been made public.
Experience needs common sense.
That's right.
Guys, thank you for being on Soca TV tonight. It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure meeting you all. And we want to ask our viewers again, thank you so much for sticking out with us. And we want to encourage you to follow, like, and share this page. This is the new home of culture. We want to engage all the different aspects of culture. Keep viewing every night. We have something on for you. Very engaging discussions. And again, thank you very much for the panel. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You. Thank
Have a
you.
good night,
Thank you for
everybody.
being here.
All right, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.